I'm Erin Wilson, and you are listening to Inside NC Labor, a podcast designed to inform and educate North Carolina citizens on the role that the Department of Labor plays in state government. Good afternoon. I'm Erin Wilson, the Director of Communications at the North Carolina Department of Labor, and we're here in Atlantic Beach at the Mine Safety and Health Conference doing a podcast. I'm here with my co-host.
My name is John Mallow. I'm also in communications as a public information officer. Welcome to the show.
And we are here with several different professionals from the mine industry, as well as some of our North Carolina Department of Labor employees. So, guys, would you introduce yourselves for our listeners?
Okay, my name is Phil Hooper. I'm Deputy Commissioner for Standards and Inspection Division.
My name is Beau Thomas, Mining Quarry Bureau Chief.
I'm Bryan Moore, Safety and Health Manager for Vulcan Materials.
Jason Godwin, Director of Safety and Health with Wake Stone Corporation.
Jay Stem with the North Carolina Aggregates Association. I'm the Executive Director.
Thank you guys for being here with us today.
Thank you. So this is for everyone if you guys want to take turns, but what is the value of having an annual mine safety and health conference?
I'll jump in real quick. Getting all the people from the industry together to share ideas, to share common practices. The other thing that's nice is it's just not our association, it's a joint effort with the Department of Labor. So we're bringing in people that aren't just members of our association. We want the entire industry to be safe, not just our members, because if one person gets injured, whether they're a member or not a member, it's going to affect and put a black eye on the entire industry. So getting everybody together, there were several years we actually did them separate. We had a one day in the East and one day in the West because we couldn't have conventions back in the downturn in the recession. The guys didn't like that because they couldn't see each other and couldn't interact and have that fellowship of sharing ideas. The one thing we talk about in our association, we have antitrust policies, but there is no antitrust when it comes to safety. We want to share everything we know with each other when it comes to safety.
It's great media for interaction and for ideas to be passed along. It's a small community when it comes to mining in many ways. So I think it's great for that.
I think you got to see firsthand today during our safety meeting with the association that even those that aren't normally at that meeting, especially at a conference like this, get to sit in and learn some things and ask questions that maybe they don't have the opportunity to talk to somebody that has the answer. Or at least guide you in the right direction. And I think that makes the conference very, very valuable.
From my perspective, having been in the industry 8 years, I inherited a lot of practices and policies. And so this type of interaction gives me the ability to see what other organizations do. And a lot of times I'm able to actually beg, steal, and borrow from the things that I pick up here and actually implement it and create change in my own organization.
The technical presentations offer insight to issues along with solutions to these issues that most of these folks may or may not be aware of, and that in conjunction with the getting together with old friends and coworkers, and we also have a group of vendors that participate in these meetings and offer their services. So it's 2 or 3 great reasons to come, and we do split it up east and west, so it gives opportunity for folks to either travel or maybe attend that couldn't travel if it's always in one location.
So this conference lasts for a couple of days every year. So what kind of topics does it cover?
We basically look at trying to find topics that the industry wants to know about, not things that I want them to hear about. We reach out, have a committee, have guys give us feedback. One year it might be they've had some close calls with tire safety or something, so tires might be a topic. So we try to bring in topics that are timely, current, and then we try to have people that are actually in the industry making those presentations so they understand what goes on in a quarry instead of having somebody come in that's not familiar with our industry.
We want topics that's on point, the current events. And also, a lot of times you'll have some lawyers come in and give their side of what's going on, and just try to educate and communicate. As Jay was saying earlier, it's very important that we communicate.
It is a safety and health conference, and like previously stated, is we provide different viewpoints and solutions to these safety and health issues, and bring to light possible items that some people are not aware of. We have, as mentioned, attorneys that will bring information that will help you stay out of trouble or possibly get out of trouble once you are in trouble, and then someone from MSHA will bring their information on what's coming, future possible compliance items that are around the corner. So it's a varied and it, one topic's not going to fit everybody's issues and needs, but overall it's a great package that provides information for the attendees.
And it really allows the industry in North Carolina to draw on people's strengths. I been doing it a long time, have a particular set of skills that are different than some folks because of my background with Mine and Quarry Bureau. I've started my quote-unquote safety professional career with Mine and Quarry, and we sometimes bring back topics that I think it's been 10 years since I did my MSHA's here thing like I'm doing this time, and it seems like it was just yesterday sometimes, but we recognize that you're all the time turning over people, and they need to hear some of the things that that's sort of the standard staples in safety, because some folks have never heard it. So this offers a pretty good platform for that.
I'll also say it's things that they can carry back and use in their daily business tomorrow. It's not just theory and things that are nice, but it's stuff they can implement when they get back to their location, their site, their plan.
Stuff they can put in their toolkit.
Exactly.
Practical knowledge.
Exactly.
So safety and health in the mining industry is a top priority for all of you. Could you each elaborate on each of your respective entities' roles and how you all work together?
Well, with Mine and Quarry, our primary goal is for training, making sure that regulatory training is being done. But we also offer other services. We'll go in and help with on-site inspections and offer what we can do to serve the mining industry in any capacity. Contractors also, we have want to reach out to those. But we want to give great. I'm just want to say I don't want to just talk about training. I want training that's effective training that hopefully makes a difference. That's what the goal is, to go home safely.
And I think it's very, this group allows a lot of opportunity for, pick up the phone and saying, hey, I got a problem, not running into this. How do y'all handle it? Here's what we're doing. We might bring 2 or 3 other people into that discussion, say, hey, call so-and-so because he's had that situation. I know Jason and I, we talk a lot, and, there's certain folks in every industry that you gravitate towards, and you're able to to call on and say, hey, and you don't get a bill in the mail, like you might an attorney. So it makes life a lot easier because you can implement things you learn a lot quicker, by being able to pick up the phone and ask for help.
Wakestone Corporation is a family-owned operation headquartered in Knightdale, North Carolina. We have 4 active quarries in North Carolina, all within an hour of the Triangle. We have roughly 170 employees, so we provide a good amount of jobs for people in those communities. What the people sitting at this table offer to us, the Mine and Quarry Bureau recently just helped us get all of our miners at our Knightdale operation first aid and CPR certified, which was a great asset for us. We've also had, as Beau alluded to, members of their organization come out and actually do walkthroughs with our personnel at our quarry just to help identify hazards. That fresh set of eyes and their subject matter expertise is critical in helping us constantly be better. The association that Jay represents is a key for us to network in identifying best practices. The safety committee that I serve on is a great place to share ideas. We also have environmental committees, and then the committee helps in steering the industry as a whole. It's just a great entity that Wakestone has been an active member of for a long time, and a big advocate for, just because of the uniqueness of mining. I think that's why the Department of Labor saw fit to have such a unique bureau dedicated to the unique industry. As what I consider still a newbie, I never appreciated mining until I got into it. I had a profession in law enforcement for a long time, so it was government work. But just as an ordinary citizen, I never thought about it until I saw the first bumper sticker that one of my people at Wakestone has, and it says, "If it can't be grown, it must be mined." And so when I thought of mining as just a citizen a few years ago, I typically thought about gold, and I thought about coal. And that's about all I ever thought of. And then when I think about everything from my home to my toothbrush to things that my kids use and digest every day, all have a product of mining. And so it's a bigger influence in our daily lives than I think a lot of people completely understand.
Agree.
As an association, my role is bringing our group together to share the ideas that we've talked about, and then also keeping that collaborative relationship with the Mining Quarry Bureau, being that entity that helps bring them in. Because I used to tell the former commissioner that the Mining Quarry Bureau and the industry working together is the ideal model of how government and private industry should work. That we work together, we're a family. They're part of our safety committee. We share ideas, they share ideas. So that's what the association does. Also, when it comes to MSHA, is providing that platform to bring MSHA in to help build those relationships with MSHA, because they are the enforcement side. So we need to make sure we have a good relationship with them, and that's part of what the association can do, is bring that group together and try to create that. We've always had a great relationship with them. Sam's retired. We got a lot of turnover, so we're kind of going through that process now of working with MSHA, because there's a lot of new people there, and building that relationship that we had with the former people that were at MSHA.
As the North Carolina Aggregate Association has evolved and grown over the years, Jay has sort of been the catalyst a lot of times to help us as an industry bring change within MSHA, because instead of having to fight individual battles, we fought collective battles.
Right.
And it put a very loud voice in front of MSHA that they were not really used to dealing with. And we've seen some really good results over the years as a result of that.
My job is to ensure Beau has what he needs to do to work, him and the rest of the Bureau. In other words, I support him from the office. I'm not a mine expert. I'm a safety and health professional, but my background is on the general industry side, construction, not the mining. But I work with Beau to help him get his staffing level up. Several years ago we had some financial woes with getting the grants in a timely manner. So I'm kind of behind the scenes, but I fully support Beau and the Bureau, and to do everything that's being done today and has been done in the past.
Great job, too.
So this question is for Jay, Jason, and Bryan. So y'all represent companies working in the mining industry. How do your organizations work with the Department of Labor and MSHA?
Well, with Wakestone, as I alluded to, the Mining Quarry Bureau specifically has benefited us immensely in training. It's helped us as an organization, and then we've also had several instances where we've had contractors that wanted to perform services for us that are required to have training. And we've often referred them to the Mining Quarry Bureau to get that specific training, and they've done a phenomenal job with that. What I've enjoyed with the Department of Labor as a whole is the personal relationships. People at fields level taking the time to come out here and create relationships has been fantastic. Just knowing somebody to call when we have a need arise. As far as MSHA goes, MSHA is tasked by federal law to inspect every mine twice a year. And so we know we're going to see them. We just don't know when. As Bryan has alluded to in his previous comments, the relationships there have varied from very strained to very cooperative. And right now, because of the efforts of Bryan and Jay, I enjoy a very good relationship with MSHA. Our local managers and inspectors tend to have a great mindset when they come, being very helpful. Obviously, they are required when they see violations to write citations, and when they're deserved, they serve as good reminders of how our job is never done at removing hazards and trying to keep people safe. But it is great to be in a situation right now where our relationship affords us the ability to pick up the phone and call and ask questions, and not have fear that our questions might drive future inspections or specific focuses. And so in my tenure at Wake Stone, I can just say that the relationship with the Department of Labor here in North Carolina and with our local MSHA folks has been fantastic.
I'd have to agree. One of the ways we've always tried to support the Mine and Quarry Bureau specifically is, I know Wake does it, Martin does it, Vulcan does it. We offer, free of charge locations to do training, and try to assist if they have a need, to find somewhere that's convenient for those guys to have a good, safe place to train. Having been a former mine and quarry employee, I know some of the conditions that those guys in the past have had to train in. So it's always nice to be able to give back and say, hey, use a nice warm facility in the wintertime when a lot of training's done.
We appreciate that.
And on top of that, we most all the operations in North Carolina support the law school that's been an integral part of the industry for a long time, and some of us give back by offering our time to go present and teach the things that we learned at the same time. MSHA, as Jason said very well, we've come a long way. It's nice to be able to truly have a conversation, both at the inspector level and at the managerial level, both at the field office level and district level, and we hope that continues. That's part of our mission as this committee is to try to further that down the road, and right now, as Jason said, we're in a great place.
I kind of mentioned how we work with the Department of Labor and MSHA in a few minutes ago, but one thing with the Department of Labor, we actually have this conference right now is a collaborative effort. It's a joint venture. It's not a Department of Labor conference or North Carolina Aggregates conference. It's a joint venture that we do. That's how well we work together and how collaborative we've worked together for about the last 15 years with doing this, putting this conference on.
And I got to give North Carolina Aggregates a lot of credit to me taking this position this year. They've done a yeoman's work. I thank you so much for what you've done. You need credit on that.
Thanks.
So, what are some of the biggest challenges you all face in the mining industry as it relates to safety and health?
Well, a few years ago, our former commissioner, I was having lunch with her, and she asked me a pointed question: what's one of the biggest issues in the mining industry? And I told her at the time, I thought fatigue was an issue because, and I still say it's one of the issues. It's hard for the mines to get qualified miners, workers that run the equipment that passes drug tests and so forth. They're having a hard time with that. And so that means they have to work their current miners a lot of hours. And we all know that fatigue can cause issues down the road. As Billy Packer used to say, fatigue makes cowards of us all for the ex-basketball players that used to watch. So, yeah, I think that's a big issue that faces our industry. For me personally, I think that's so.
I would agree that is an issue that we deal with, and it's fatigue. The fatigue thing is a very cyclical thing. I mean, some quarries are busy for a couple of years and then they slack off, and other quarries pick up. And sometimes the logistics of how close one place is to another, it's hard to send relief. We've got some folks right now that's 40 hours a week, and we got some that's working 70 hours a week, and so it definitely is an issue. But I would say for Vulcan, our biggest challenge right now is the magnitude and turnover of new personnel, trying to find folks that will stay around long enough to get trained and understand what they're doing. And as a safety department, just figuring out how to properly train those folks when you're talking about the sheer volume. I mean, there's times we may have a Monday, we have 12 people start in North Carolina on one day. And we've had to do some things differently to get there. And I think the training and onboarding, of new personnel is going to continue into the future, being one of the biggest challenges that we have.
For Wakestone, our current market footprint is in areas that are excessively busy. The growth in the Raleigh area has put a high demand on aggregate material that Wakestone provides. And so it has created a need for excessive hours. It's put a strain on our personnel and our equipment. The job itself does have some inherent dangers. You're working with very large equipment. You're working with a lot of moving parts. And the training that's involved does take a long time to get to a point of being proficient with that type of machinery and completely understanding all of the hazards. That being said, the job itself does have a certain amount of redundancy. We typically hire these new guys coming in as haul truck drivers, and their task is to operate this very, very large dump truck, and you drive it from one point to another very repetitively throughout the day. And so boredom becomes a threat. Distractions. We have a workforce now, especially anyone under 25, that has always had a cell phone. And we have had to prohibit the possession of them just because of the addiction we know them to be. And when that thing dings, it has to be looked at. It cannot be ignored. And so we had to actually remove them from the workplace just because of that distraction. And so, all of the challenges that we face are somewhat universal in nature throughout the industry, but then they're also individualized by the region that people are in and the culture that each individual work site has. But working collectively, having regulators and producers and associations all sitting at the same table to discuss those challenges and then to brainstorm remedies. A lot of the policies that we're implementing are products of competitors, and our willingness to work together is what helps us create those best practices.
When it comes to the new hires that you're talking about a minute ago, the background for a lot of the people, I call them kids, the people coming into the industry now, aren't your guys coming from the farms. Used to be people came from the construction industry, came from farms into the mining industry, into the construction industry. So they already used to driving tractors, working outdoors. You don't have that anymore. So you had a little bit of built-in knowledge already when they got there, but now you don't have that. So you're working with somebody that might have worked at a grocery store or delivered papers or never had a job before in their life and all they ever worked was indoors. So you've got that to overcome when you're bringing those guys on board because they're starting from ground zero.
And one of the things that we truly see is the generational gaps between the new worker and our most experienced worker becomes a real problem because the work ethics are different. The way they learn is different, as we're talking about, and sometimes our older guys don't like to spend the time with the younger guys because they won't work hard enough to learn it. They won't stick around long enough, and so we all have to challenge each other as groups to figure out how do we deal with this group versus this group, and figure out a way to make both of them work together, and that's an interesting challenge in today's world. For sure.
That is a challenge in the mining industry. Typically speaking, it's not a lot of young people in our training classes throughout the state. It's middle, more older clientele, and so there is a disconnect with what you're saying with some of the younger people. It's an issue.
And just the training methods, the way you used to train was fine, but the new people, the younger generation coming in, that doesn't connect with them and they don't retain it.
That's right. So it's our challenge that's our challenge for me and my Quarry is to adapt and to be the trainers we need to be to touch all bases of everybody. That's where we always, have to always keep moving the goalposts somewhat and stay there. It's hard to fit a square peg in a round hole.
What we face at the Department of Labor is no different than everybody else is facing this day and time. We're struggling to be able to recruit and retain qualified individuals that can perform the work. And I don't want to jinx Beau, but he's got a very well qualified staff. He's fully staffed, and it's going smooth. But we are struggling on some of the safety and health positions in the department, and like the elevator inspectors, the OSHA compliance officers, and it's just, I'm not sure if they're just not out there. They don't have the skill set. They can make more money elsewhere. Whatever, you name it. But it is tough when you try to get somebody that's qualified, because you got to get them in the door first. They got to meet the minimum qualifications. You get them in the door, and then they put in maybe 6 to 8 months or so, then they're own to greener pastures, or decide they don't want to work. So that's, getting the qualified individuals to come to work for you and to continue to work for you. And maybe some of us, with the amount we can pay folks. So it's, but it's, again, it's, I think everybody's facing the same issue these days.
All right, so our final question for you guys today is, we have a ton of attendees from all over the state here at this conference this week. So what do you hope they learn or take away from being here this week?
I can start. I just hope that they get to meet fellow folks that are in the industry if they haven't met them before. They learn something, and they understand that Mine and Quarry offers free training, and all they got to do is call Beau up or one of his staff members, and they can set it up as soon as possible.
Yeah, what I hope they learn and take away is that they got resources at their disposal. They don't have to feel like they have to carry the cross on their own. And I've challenged my guys and myself to get out there and shake hands, get yourself known. You cannot have enough friends in this world, ladies and gentlemen. It's just impossible. So I want to be there in a service organization, teaching everybody at this table and at the conference.
That's an interesting question, in that for each one of us there's probably a little bit different perspective, but I graduated college in a degree that has nothing to do with what I'm doing today, but one of the best classes that I ever took was public speaking. And in the end, my hope is that the people in the audience at some point has an aha moment and says, that's something I got to go do. That's something I got to go check on. That's a person I need to go talk to, and get to know. The ability to have, as you said, that network that's right there for you is something that I think this conference offers, anybody that attends, and I think it's well worth the time to make sure people understand that.
When you look at the agenda at this conference and any other previous conference, I think you'll see the diversity of topics, from leadership to task-specific knowledge. It's just a very unique opportunity to be exposed to such a dynamic list of topics, and we're fortunate to have a level of expertise in North Carolina. The people that are speaking are subject matter experts. The fact that we have, again, such high-ranking people from the North Carolina Department of Labor. We have a representative from MSHA that drove from Washington, D.C. to be here. And so it's an opportunity for all of us to come away with new knowledge, hopefully new motivation, and just a general commitment to looking after our people. We talk a lot about regulations, we talk a lot about laws, but in the end, we're talking about lives. And as long as we keep that personal perspective, I think we all will perform at a higher level that's going to make an impact on the men and women of North Carolina.
as part of the association, I wanted to be able to carry at least one nugget back that they can use. And that one nugget might be what saves somebody's life. But carrying that one nugget back that they can implement when they get back, like Bryan said, that aha moment, circle that on the agenda, make a note that they can carry that back and work on that on Monday when they get back to the office. And then also building those relationships, getting to know the Mining Quarry Bureau provides free training. Y'all are the best kept secret in state government because a lot of people don't know about the Mining Quarry Bureau. A lot of our associate members, we really stress that to make sure they understand they can get their training there. And then making that relationship building in the industry so you feel comfortable enough to pick the phone up and call Bryan or call Jason. I got a problem. I don't know what to do. And you go, I ran into this last year. Here's what we did. Having that comfort level that you feel like you can pick the phone up and give them a call and share those ideas. And getting this group together really builds those relationships.
Yeah. And I would add, you probably would want to go back and put this on one of the previous questions, but one of the things that I have found so useful in Mining Quarry is when I have a new contractor, when I have, a contractor that's had some personnel turnover, or I have a new contractor that's never worked in the mining industry, they call me and say, hey, who do I need to call? And I'm like, well, here's his number. Used to be William, now Beau. I know I've already sent some folks to Beau. I need a training plan. I need some training. I need to get some of my guys in training so we can do it ourselves, when we need to. These guys take a lot of that burden off of us. And, when you think about a safety guy that's got multiple operations, that's just another 2 or 3 or 4 phone calls that we can be doing something more proactive because the state, I can say, here, call this number, and you get the right person and you get the right help, and that's a big deal. It's a real big deal.
I'll also comment too that, and we brag on the Mining Quarry Bureau around the country, that we are very lucky to have the Mining Quarry Bureau that we do have. A lot of states don't have that. They have a community college, or they have one specific location, and they got to go there to get their training. We're the envy of a lot of states around the country to have the setup that we have and the working relationship we have. And the Mining Quarry Bureau is known nationwide. The North Carolina Mining Quarry Bureau is known nationwide and has a wonderful reputation of providing good service for us. And y'all travel around the country making presentations about what we do right here in North Carolina.
Yep.
I'll say I started working summers 1980 at the mines, and I remember Mining Quarry Bureau out there inspecting. So it's been around a long time, and over the years, I think it's been a very good thing for the mining industry. Wonderful. So, and these guys, you guys, Bryan and Mr. Godwin and Jay, that you bring a lot to the table. And as I've been working here and got to know these guys better, they got a lot of knowledge. And so my hat's off to them.
This is, just for my personal interest, what are some of the key, minerals, or what are the key products that are mined in North Carolina? I know, for one, quartz is huge. We have one of the best, purest forms of quartz, like a lode.
Well, typically speaking, when you're talking specialty minerals, you have the high purity quartz that Sabelco and Quartz Corp is now they produce, and it goes typically to Asia and Europe. You have feldspar that goes into the tile, into the sanitary ware. You have Nutrien, which is down in Nutrien, the phosphates. That's a specialty mineral. And I hate to leave out people. You have the micas that goes into many applications. So we don't have any kaolin mines in the state that I know of, but that's basically it's just so many applications. What you were saying, people don't really realize just how mining affects everybody's day to day. Our standard of living can be basically given to the mining industry. The milk you had this morning is shipped in the stainless steel trucks from the mines on the roads, from the mines directly to your kitchen. And so you can thank the mining industry for that, and you guys produce that. What a wonderful thought. So
when you look by volume, construction materials is by far, the combination of quartz and feldspar for the most part, which is granite, is by far the largest, thing that's mined in North Carolina. There's some specialty stuff out there. There's some really interesting stuff. If you ever get time to look at one of our quarries, mines a particular mineral called argillite.
That's right.
It will actually pop under heat, and it creates a lightweight aggregate. Our on-site customer that owns the property next door to us, called Stay-Lite, ships stuff all over the world. Their stuff's been used in lightweight concrete applications all over the world, and that's a very unique thing. That material is very unique in itself, just from North Carolina. So there's a lot of really cool things that come out of North Carolina that most people have no clue about.
I hate to leave people out. I just out of North Carolina, granted out of Mount Airy. They produce so many like cabinet tops and so forth. I hate to leave people out, but the state produces a lot of minerals, a lot of products. So
We're very lucky to have the mining that goes on here. When you look at just the construction aggregates, we got over 123 locations in North Carolina.
Yeah.
We're very lucky to have the high quality materials in North Carolina. And when you think about construction aggregates, you have the stone that goes down for your road bed, your gravel roads, but all the asphalt that you see, about 95% of that is stone, sand and stone. When you look at concrete, about 80% of that is sand and stone. So the large majority of everything you're looking at that's got concrete or asphalt, the majority of that is construction aggregates, and that's the material that these guys right here produce.
Yep.
yeah, Vulcan has the floating rocks. I mean, that's just something you don't see all the time.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm sure my wife, if she was here, she'd really say thanks, because she was able to get the granite countertops in our new house, and she's happy, I'm happy. So
Mama's happy,
Appreciate that.
everybody's happy.
Well, y'all, we just want to thank you so much for participating in this podcast with us today and joining us and providing your insight and knowledge. And thank you again for agreeing to come on this podcast.
Thank you
Thank
very
you for
much.
having us.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for tuning in, y'all. And remember, your safety is our priority.